Games Workshop has revealed the future of the Battleforge tool in the Warhammer 40k app. Baldur's Gate 3 is officially out on PC this week, and Gen Con is this weekend. All this and more in this week's Hobby News. I'm Angela, you're watching Hobby Night. Now let's get to this. The first thing that I want to cover in the news is the changes that are coming to the Warhammer 40k app. This is a new app that Games Workshop released alongside 10th edition, and it's made it really easy for players to be able to build their lists and get into playing games really easily. People have absolutely loved it. I've heard nothing but positive things about the Warhammer app. But it was revealed earlier this week on the Warhammer community site, and if you have been using the app, you may have already seen this heads up that there's a portion of the app that is no longer going to be free to use. That is the Battleforge tool, which is what you actually use to build your roster and put your list together. So if you were going to say tournaments or that kind of thing, you'd have quick and super easy access to it with the availability of being able to literally just reference all of your indexes based off of your list. It's a really cool feature, and Games Workshop is putting that behind a paywall starting August 31st. Now, we all knew this was coming. Games Workshop did say this when they first launched it, and when you're using the app, it does tell you, hey, this is not going to be free for unlimited access. It will eventually be locked behind a paywall. But I think fans were really optimistic that maybe Games Workshop would change their mind on this. I know that the app has been invaluable to a lot of people, and I, for one, have been using it a lot. Now, thankfully, the references and indexes that are included in the app as well will still be accessible for free, but if you're wanting to build your own personalized list and put that together through the Battleforge tool, well, if you want to do that, you have to get a Warhammer Plus subscription. And I, for one, I don't know if the Warhammer Plus subscription is super worth it, even for having access to this tool. You do get access to being able to get a free miniature from Games Workshop with a subscription. You do get access to a lot of digital content through it. There's animations and some tutorials and some lore videos all on the Warhammer Plus app, but I have not found that they've really amounted to anything super substantial or super valuable to make that subscription feel that worth it. And I don't know if locking this Battleforge tool behind it with it is going to encourage people to actually want to subscribe to the app, or if it just means people are going to find some sort of alternative for building their list, whether that ends up being Battlescribe because they get the support that they need and they end up being able to do stuff with 10th edition, or some totally new app comes out because fans are just tired of Games Workshop being greedy and wanting to get as much cash out of us as possible. I'd love to know whether or not you plan on continuing to use the app once it goes over to its subscription model. Will you still be using the Battleforge tool, or are you just going to say, never mind, I'm going to find an alternative, I'll just use my codex or write it down, what have you? Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Games Workshop seems to be pretty hyped for Legion's Imperialis, and they have a new trailer revealing some terrain for the game, which I, for one, am very excited to see because it's all going to be like much smaller scale than what I'm used to, so I want to see what the detail looks like. Let's watch this trailer. Ooh. Whoa! Okay, so we've got ruins and what looks like industrial. Modular boards, love it. Were those actual buildings? Those look like actual buildings. Like, not ruined buildings, but actual buildings. Oh my god, those are actual buildings. Why don't they do this in, like, full scale 40k? What? Okay, so clearly we have a lot of really cool looking ruins and other terrain features coming for the new version of Epic, which is set in the Horus Heresy era. And of course, there are some things you would expect, and there's probably some things that you may not have expected, like me, which I swear I was seeing full-blown buildings that were definitely not ruined. So let's talk a little bit about the detail of the terrain in full, because some of the stuff you may recognize if you play Adeptus Titanicus. Some of the terrain is in fact coming from that. I suspect that might be where some of those ruins are from. It really feels very thematically appropriate for Titans to be wandering around a bunch of ruined cities. So we do have a reveal of that. We also have the reveal of these modular tiles, which end up being 12 inches by 12 inches. So they're square, which I actually think means that they're going to be usable for a lot of different game systems, not just Warhammer game systems. Because depending on how many of them you end up picking up, you could build like a full 3x6 board and then potentially play Legion on it, for example. Because if you look at these tiles, I mean, they're a little 40k-ish, but they're not super 40k-ish. Like, I don't really see like Aquilas or like even skulls very much on the street designs. So the fact that they're kind of generic makes me really excited to potentially use these things for other games. Now, I talked a little bit about the ruins already. They do look majestic. Honestly, there's a lot more detail in these for how small they are than I was originally anticipating, and all of the scatter terrain looks sweet. But I want to scroll down because this is what I am more interested in. And gosh darn it, Games Workshop, if you're gonna keep shoving Imperial terrain down our throats, at least this is the way to do it, because these are actual full-on buildings that are not destroyed. And I feel like you rarely see that in Warhammer. Like, everything is constantly in ruin because of, you know, the war. But here we're actually getting to see some Imperial terrain that is fully intact and frankly kind of gorgeous looking, and I want this done scaled up. Like, please give me these same buildings, but scaled up so that I can use them in my Kill Team games or my 40k games. I don't care what it is, but just scale it all up because these look majestic. I think they're so cool. And then on top of that, we're also getting some additional industrial terrain, which again, looks really cool. Now, I will give Games Workshop some kudos where kudos are deserved. When it comes to terrain, industrial designs, they've done, I think, very well in both their full scale for 40k, as well as what they're doing here for the epic terrain. But I would love to see some of these even upscaled, because like we actually have some of them downscaled, like these pipes here that you see, like we have those in our full scale version, but I want to see these towers. Like, give me these towers with these giant like contraptions on them in 40 scale, like 40k scale. That would be so just awesome to me. I'm definitely gonna be picking some of these up. I really want to get this game in general, but I also just, I love terrain. I love building terrain. I love painting terrain. I love rearranging terrain on a terrain board because it's just fun and really exciting, and just, I don't know, it gives me just some satisfaction that I don't get from some other things, and I really am going to be grabbing some of these. Let me know if you will be too. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump into the video real quick to remind you to subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications so that you never miss any of the hobby content that we make here on the channel. Next, I wanted to watch the Baldur's Gate 3 trailer again because I'm so excited for the game. It's coming out this Thursday. You can expect Chaos Cultist and I to be playing it this Thursday, so let's watch the trailer and get re-hyped for this game. God, it looks so cool. I'm not looking forward to the, like, worm thing going into my ear, though. Or up my nose, or however.
But don't be alarmed.
I also want the cat with wings. I don't know if I'll see much of this, because I don't think I'll be playing that character, and I don't know if I'll have them as a companion specifically. So, that scene intrigues me a lot. I also can't wait to get naked with some of these characters. It's gonna be great. The best scene, of course.
Master, you are the chosen one.
We are the chosen one. And as you can see, Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out very, very soon. Like, the visuals in this game look amazing. I can't wait to, like, this reminds me of Star Wars a little bit with Obi-Wan and Jar Jar in the ship and it with Qui-Gon. Like, when they had the big fish comment and everything. Like, that's kind of what this reminds me of. I can't wait to figure out who exactly I'm actually going to be romancing, because there are a lot of options. Let's see, where there's so many options for who you can romance, I really do like the vampire boy, so he is up there on potentially who my character will be trying to seduce. But we're going to be figuring all of that out coming this Thursday, because like I said, Chaos Cultist and I are going to be playing the game. That will be happening every Thursday for the foreseeable future, because while we don't expect to actually conclude the campaign on stream or anything, we are looking forward to playing it pretty significantly with you guys. So if you're looking forward to that, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time this Thursday, we will begin our Baldur's Gate 3 adventure. Gen Con is right around the corner, and for those of you that are maybe unfamiliar with the convention, I have a video here describing what Gen Con is from the company itself. Let's go ahead and watch it. I'm probably going to get extremely nostalgic, and then afterwards I want to talk about a couple of games that are upcoming that I'm hoping to get my hands on and that might be available at Gen Con, which for those of you that are going know that I'm jealous, and maybe you'll see them there. So let's take a look at the video. Gen Con's one of those big conventions that I've only been to a couple times, but every time that I've gone, I've absolutely loved it, and it is the most intense grouping of gamer nerds I've ever seen come together before. It is genuinely brilliant. I mean, just watch this video. There's so much to do here. There's so many people. God! The dealer's room is intense. Mansions of Madness! I love that that game is still super relevant and being showcased. There's board games, card games, war games, dice, RPGs, props, cosplay, miniatures, all sorts of things. LARPing. It's amazing. Like, if you ever have the opportunity to be able to go to Gen Con, I would highly encourage you to do so. Like I said, I've been twice, loved it, absolutely want to go back again. Obviously, sadly not going this year, but who knows, maybe next year, like, it would be amazing. Because I miss it so much. I miss it so much. I have not gone since pre-COVID. So it's been a long time. Or at least it feels like it's been a really long time.
Gen Con is families, and we're a Gen Con family.
God. The dealer's hall, every time I see it, it just makes me so happy. I spend way too much money there. Way too much money. And it is the best 4 days in gaming. Genuinely, like, I've not been to that many gaming conventions, but Gen Con is intense. There is just so much to do there. There are so many games that get revealed there. You get to see really cool, epic displays. There are people constantly playing things, whether you're using the free games library or you've got a pre-scheduled game that you signed up for. Gen Con's where I played my first ever game of Vampire the Masquerade. And so, like, it's just one of those things that's always super nostalgic for me. And the really cool thing is that at Gen Con, a lot of new games get revealed and or have early releases and all sorts of things. And there are 3 in particular today that I want to talk about that are not out yet, but are anticipated as upcoming. And one of them is the 3 Ring Circus. This game, I don't know a huge amount about, other than the fact that it really seems like it's combining some Euro-style mechanics of area control and hand management, combined with some very strong, what I would consider American theming. We have a circus game where the art is just gorgeous. I mean, look at just the designs on the box art of the board. It's bright, it's boldly colorful, which it speaks to me so well. It's got an Art Nouveau style, which I think is not only very reminiscent of classic, just circus artwork, but it also is just one of my favorite styles of art. And I think the way that they've combined color with it, being very just bold and brightly saturated, is lovely. Like, look at this. Look at all of this card art. I really am looking forward to this one. I'm gonna be looking for it when it comes out on shelves later this year, I believe. It's supposed to be out in 2023. So if it does end up dropping at Gen Con, I might see if my local game stores have it, because I want to give it a try. I've really been into sort of heavier Euro mechanics combined with just visual appeal, and this game screams that to me. I love everything about the aesthetic design of this game. Now, another game that I also incredibly love the look of is Weirdwood Manor. Now, unlike the last game that we just looked at, Three Ring Circus, which is a competitive game, this is a cooperative game. And I absolutely adore cooperative games. I love games that take you on an adventure, and that's what Weirdwood does. But it does add in, again, some Euro mechanic elements, which sounds really, really neat. But the thing that actually struck me about this game is this board. So as you can see, you have this round board, and these rings here shift. So you'll actually be able to spin those throughout the game, and there's also an interesting time mechanic in this game. Every time you as a player or the AI who is the villain ends up taking a move, you guys end up having a time mechanic, which can either speed up time or slow it down, and I want to see exactly how that is going to play out in this game. How are we as the players going to be able to manipulate that, and how is that going to add to the puzzle that I feel like this game is going to end up being? And because it's cooperative, I'll be able to play it with the Chaos Cultists, we'll be able to work together to solve it, and I don't know, I'm just very, very excited about that. And then there's one other element that I really like. One, they have these very, very gorgeous acrylic standees for all the characters, which I think the character art is delightful. They have some fun custom dice. I just think the board itself looks amazing. But I believe it is in, I think it's in this game. Where are the scarabs? You see these little scarabs. You see these tiny little yellow scarab friends? I love them. I think they are so cute. I don't know, I just really like scarab beetles. I think they're adorable, and so this game absolutely delights me. Now, the final game that I want to go ahead and talk about today is one that I've actually talked about before on the channel. Critical Role, Darrington Press, which is their company, has a new game coming out, and I believe it's actually slated for a Gen Con release. Don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure, but I know it's coming out this year, and it is called Queen by Midnight. This game has absolutely stunning artwork. It is a deck builder, which is one of my just personal favorite types of games. Like, I love deck builders so much. I'm not, like, it's weird because I'm not a big card game person, like take that type of card game person, but you have a deck building mechanic in your game, I am all over that. And the art for this game looks gorgeous. It just has this really beautiful aesthetic and an interesting gimmick, kind of like the past game that we just looked at, Weirdwood Manor, where in this one you have a clock tower dice tower that you end up being able to roll your dice in, but it's also a place where you can end up buying cards and activate abilities from my understanding. And I think that's just kind of a neat little add-on. I like games when they have sort of gimmicks like that, where there's this other element that is maybe not fully, wholly necessary for like the game to actually function, but ends up being just this interesting piece that you can end up talking about, or just ends up being a cool art piece, if anything else. And I don't know if that is what this game's gonna end up being for me, but I absolutely just think the art is stunning. Honestly, I love deck builders, so I'm enthusiastic about a deck builder game where I'm playing as a princess trying to become queen against all the other princesses that I'm fighting. I don't know, that just sounds really fun and very appealing to me. So I am also looking forward to Queen by Midnight from Darrington Press. All three of these games look stunning to me. Let me know what games you might be looking forward to at Gen Con and whether or not you are going to be attending the convention yourself, because I want to chat with you about it in the comments and we can gush about how excited you are and all the things that you want to see when you're there. That has been it for this week in hobby news. Do make sure that you join us on Thursday when Chaos Cultist and I begin our adventure in Baldur's Gate 3, because it'll finally be out. And do make sure to leave me a comment down below on what you might be looking forward to most from either Gen Con, or tell me how disappointed you are with Games Workshop in actually making us all pay for the Battleforged app through a Warhammer Plus subscription instead of just leaving it free, like I think a lot of us had hoped. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons before I head out for making it so content like this can continue to happen. Without your guys' support, we just would not be doing this, so thank you very, very much. I have been Angela, and I hope you have a wonderful hobby night.